still
That's
story.
better. Oh, wow. So small world stuff.
I don't have a best friend.
That meeting.
That's basically. Everybody wants to get that's the 83,800 and so 8 bucks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
That's hard.
It was another place. I don't recall what the name was of it,
One knows,
right?
like. Right. Swipe up.
All right, the time is 7 p.m. We'll call this meeting to order. Would everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, could we have a roll call, please?
Mayor Pileski,
Here.
trustee Della Penna, trustee Domke,
Here.
trustee Forsythe,
Here.
trustee Lanisa,
Here.
trustee Perkowski,
Here.
trustee Trejo.
Here. We have a quorum. We'll move on to presentation of the prepared agenda. Could I have a motion to approve the agenda?
moved. Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Any abstentions? Seeing none, that motion carries. We'll now move on to village board public comment. Anyone wishing to provide comment on a topic or an agenda item may address the board during the public comment and public hearing segments of the village board by submitting comments in advance using the online form or during the meeting. Madam Clerk, do we have any comments submitted in advance?
I have one in advance. It's from Camille Bartizel of 120 Rosemont Avenue, and she writes a public comment saying, some of the other neighbors have been discussing our street, Rosemont Avenue, and will be attending the next board meeting to discuss what is below. There was a 2022 street improvements project that bid on 4/3/2022 and a 2023 streets improvement project that bid on 2/1/2023. Where are the locations will be done with that bid? When were the studies done to show those streets needed their water main replaced? Where can I get a copy of the sewer and water studies that have been completed? I would like to see when the streets were studied and then completed, and if and when Rosemont studied. Also, there was a break that was repaired over the winter, and now that the asphalt plants have been open, can we get Public Works out there to complete the repair because it sucks hitting a pothole every day going to and from our houses? You have a program based on areas with older 50+ years water main with high break frequency being replaced with PVC with an expected service life of 75 years or more. Based on what I was told by Public Works on 3/3/2023, the village's sewer and water lines were installed in 1924. That is 99 years old, and the sewer line was lined in 2006, and that is 17 years ago. It seemed like you put a Band-Aid on a sewer that was 82 years old already. You have not even put Rosemont Avenue to bid. I think it is more than time for the village to install the new sewer and water on our street along with the house services. The homes were built around 1956, that is already 67 years old. Granville Avenue was completed with new water main in 2019, and Rosemont was supposed to be 2021 and 2022. And per Public Works, Rosemont Avenue might be considered for water main in 2025. Why does our street keep getting pushed back?
Assistant Public Works Director Kristen Meal, would you like to address some of those comments?
Yes, I have emailed back and forth with the commenter a few times. I did provide the maps that were included. The sanitary sewer lining process it has a average life expectancy of another 50 years. After the time it's installed, it does create basically a new pipe within the old pipe. So the roads were all tested in 2019. That includes looking at the surface and the base. So we have evaluated all of those, and that was how the ranking was performed. I don't know if there's other specific questions you want me to respond to at this time.
No, that's fine. I do know that we are going to be doing a village-wide assessment of all the streets coming up in next year. That's something that will be in our budget. When we do these street assessments, we assess all streets at that same time. But because of the cost of that, it's very expensive. So we only do that on a regular cadence based on every 8 to 10 years. One thing to keep in mind is we have over 75 miles of street that the village is responsible for paving over. Our current budget can only allocate us towards a mile of streets that we can actually pave every year. So if you do that math, that means we're only hitting every street every 75 years. And obviously that's not acceptable. That's something that we've been trying to work towards, and we need to find funding revenue because frankly, we can't print money. We need to find streams that can help us expand that program. And we know we probably need to double plus that budget. That's why we've been having a series of town hall meetings with the community to socialize this and figure out a solution to it. But with that being the case, that kind of hopefully sheds a little bit of light and some color on that. I know the commenter also asked about replacing private lines. We do not do that. That's an ordinance that the board has when we're doing the lead service line replacements. The property owners are responsible for paying for their share of that. On average, we have anywhere between 50 to as high as 70 sewer repair permits pulled annually every year. The village does not pay for those, and we could not afford to. If we wanted to pay for that, that would be a very large cost we'd have to consider when we can barely keep up with our current maintenance of our infrastructure today. That would create a huge burden on us financially to do. And so that's something that we don't do, and a number of other communities do not do by practice as well. Any other public comments submitted in advance? Are there any other members of the public here today that wish to address the board? Mr. King?
I'm Dale King. I live on Rosemont Avenue.
Can you make sure your microphone's on? Sorry, just for everyone that's at home. Oh, it is on. Okay, I'm sorry.
Okay, can everybody hear me? Oh, geez. Okay, you had just mentioned that you're going to do another road study. When was that? Next year?
We're planning to budget that for next year, correct?
Okay, we've got another year that every one of us on our block faces a potential $12,000 to $15,000 repair because you guys line that, the sewer line itself, which is fine. But you did not offer any of the residents a chance to reline our line going into our homes. And what you really did was put plastic inside of clay pipe. And clay pipe doesn't last that long. Everybody knows that. Now that that pole was fixed in front of us there, or next to me, like I said before, my sump pump barely runs now because the village sucked out 3 to 4 tankerfuls of water. And that water is just running from my back, well, from the houses behind me on Devon there, through our street, our land. Well, now that water doesn't go down my, for the sump pump, I noticed in my backyard now, my grass and everything is heaving. That water is still going there. What about the sewers? This is a storm sewer problem. It's not our problem. It's the storm sewer. And I believe that when our subdivision was designed, I don't know who approved this, but I don't know where their heads were. They put driveways on each one of the houses, which is fine, but they put them underneath the windows of our neighbors. That doesn't make any sense. We were supposed to have an alley to begin with. I can show you you probably seen it, that we were supposed to have an alley. Somebody decided against it. Whose fault is it? Not ours. It's the village's fault. Why can't the village, we've elected all you people to do something, repair the past. I don't understand how we are responsible for this. And you know as well as I do, just like my other neighbors down here that had repairs, middle of the street. How is that our problem? Middle of the street. I mean, I could see it if you had to go all the way up to the sidewalk or whatever, but it's happening in the middle of the street. And I just don't understand that. I've seen pipes relined before. I was in construction. That just doesn't happen. I mean, you do these little, as Camille said, Band-Aids on these big problems. And now we're responsible for it. I don't think I want to take out a second mortgage to pay for this thing. And I don't think my neighbors want to do that. This is just totally ridiculous. Totally ridiculous. Now, you guys are proposing some fancy stuff around here. This, what is it? The rose petal or something? I don't know. I heard about it. You want to spend millions of dollars on that and let residents on a street, like I said, Tobacco Road, because it's just inconceivable how you people would think that you could beautify this area and let ours go to crap. I really don't understand. If anybody wants to comment back at me, let's go. I really don't understand. And you said that they were going to have a survey for the water in our area. Somebody did. I thought you did. You were going to do, water or whatever. There's some kind of survey that you guys.
Talking about a stormwater study?
Stormwater study, yeah. Yeah, when is that going to be?
It's underway now.
It's underway now?
It's being completed and we'll have to budget.
Are they any way affiliated to the people who do the roads? Because in 2019, you said our road was nice. I don't think so. I got all my neighbors here that say, no, it was not good.
So the
I
map,
hope you fire that company and hire another one.
we look at the roads relative to the rest of the roads within the community.
I understand that. I just drove some of those roads that are getting done. Ours is way worse than all of those. I just don't understand that company that you hired.
Dale, you have 1 minute,
With their eyes closed?
more minute.
No problem.
And you have a minute left.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I thought she said the 1 moment.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and so I hope that company that's doing that water isn't affiliated with that road construction. It's just,
It's a different consultant.
I hope so. Like I said, you can come to my backyard where the ground was flat after all that water was sucked out, it's heaving. Where's that water? It's not going out there anymore because the ground collapsed in front of it. Now it's back there filling up. I'm done.
Is there any other members of the public here today that wish to address the board? Yep, ma'am, please come up and just state your name for the record into the microphone, please.
Laura Davies, 330 North Roselle, corner of Roselle and Rosemont. Just wanted to point out that you did say that the roads, we did have some MFT money and our road was resurfaced. I think that you should take into consideration that our road in that subdivision is the bus route for the school at the end of the route. It takes more punishment every day just with the bus traffic. So obviously the infrastructure under the roads is also compromised. So that needs to be taken into consideration also. So I have lived in the house for 20 years. A lot has deteriorated. There has been a lot of serious problems. As homeowners, obviously we pay our tax bills and we expect the village to then compensate and at least make an effort. I have to now replace my sump pump every 18 months in my house because the pond across the street does not function correctly. So that's silly. My sump pump, unlike this gentleman's, mine runs 23 hours a day. It's constantly pumping water. When that water is coming from where? Obviously, it's coming from the west down my street to the corner. So just wanted to make those small comments and hopefully you'll take it into consideration.
Yep, I appreciate that. I know when we do our streets, we also like to make sure that we can couple together other projects. So like the West Maple work, the water main needs to be replaced there as well. So we'll be resurfacing the road at the same time to help reduce duplicate work. And that also saves us money in the long run. So that way we can get to other projects quicker. Is there any other member of the public here today that wishes to address the board? Yes, sir. Please come up and state your name into the microphone, please.
My name's Glenn Lindenberg. I live at 53 West Rosemont. I've resided in that home for 63 years. I've seen a lot going on in that subdivision. Since I've been there, you've put in 2 new streets on Devon and Granville, and they're perfect. They're beautiful, except for all that water running up that's coming from Granville right onto Rosemont. Increase the size of that pipe to allow more water to come down ours because it's pushing on our street. I lifted my backyard, had it redone for irrigation, just to take the water out of my yard so I could use it, right? That's how much water we're getting when it comes down. It comes over the top of our driveways. The culverts are too small and the drain system is just terrible. It's a river when it rains good. And this is just soaking in the ground. And if they're having all the problems they have down the street at the end where it's lower, you can imagine what's happening to the clay that the pipe's based in. It never, ever, ever dries up and hardens. It's moist and all that slippage from those pipes. And the sewage system is bad. Since I've been there, I've seen that street repaired 3 times. So for us taxpayers who pay money to help you guys do your job, help us out with some money we got to spend on our property. I've already had my property done 2 times with clay pipes at about $6,000 to $8,000 a pop. And now I'm looking at the front going up to the pipe that you guys throw a Band-Aid through at another 12. You're talking about your budget. What about our budgets? Costs go up for everything. We get it, okay? We all have a hard time saving money too. But these costs you're talking about, astronomical. Nobody anticipates this. So fixing our street for us who live there, and I've been here 63 years. I've seen what this village has done with money. Bad, bad, bad. We have no grocery stores in this town at all. None. You've gotten rid of everything. You're building high rises up here, but where does the money come for the rest of the people? Where's all the income coming from? You don't have any businesses here because we're trapped in. So where's the money going to come from to fix our street, which should be fixed? We were supposed to get curbs like everybody else over there, but we got passed time and time again. Not right. It's not fair. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Kristen, can we talk about the way that we do the patch on the sewer pipes and how that extends the life and how that may or may not impact a private connection?
Oh, are you talking about the lining?
Sewer lining, yeah.
Yeah, so when the sewer lining is done, it basically creates a solid place for the private service to connect to. So they check the condition of those services when they install the liner. So basically the new solid pipe is what the clay services connect into. So it should not compromise the service in any way.
If you have a public comment, please come up to the podium and state your name.
Dustin Miller, 16 Rosemont. So you said they're good for how long when you repipe the existing
50 years.
50 years? We've had 4 failures on our street in the last 7. So 7 failures in the last, how many? 1 year, 7 failures. I've actually seen you out there when it's failed, or one of you ladies out there and witnessed them with the vac trucks taking everything out. Now, if it's good for 50 years, why are there so many failures?
That has nothing to do with,
Sir, I understand you, because this is a public comment and there's laws that dictate how this has to be done. We can only have one speaker at the podium at a time. So if you would like to engage afterwards, please come up. I think the issue here is the private service line is what's failing. The village has no responsibility for your house connecting to the village's pipe. So the village's pipe is secured. What's breaking is the connection from your house to the street. And that's where anyone in this village, and we see about 60 of this happen a year, everyone in the village pays for that to be replaced. And the thing that's different here, and I know that's what's frustrating for a lot of you, I would imagine, is that your connections are right now underneath the street, which means it's probably additional cost and labor for that to happen. Some connections are in the public right of way. Some connections happen under the sidewalk. It kind of varies based on the time it was constructed, the design standards of that time and whatnot. But so that is purely serviced by you. The village never installed that pipe to your house. That was done by the developer or a prior owner. So we have no besides the permitting process, we aren't involved with that connection.
Okay, so if I wanted, so I had my previous owner replace mine from the house to the easements. So that from that easement to the connection would also be my responsibility, taking up that, cutting that concrete or that
Correct.
asphalt and everything like that.
Correct. And one thing that, based on the comments that Mr. King has brought to our attention earlier this year, the board is going to revise and look at its policy to see if there's a possibility if we cannot afford to do that replacement cost.
Yeah.
But hearing you, could we take on the cost to replace and patch the asphalt, right? Replace concrete. That's something that I think that's a public good. That's a public street. We've seen issues in the past where contractors don't always do the best job. And then we're chasing them after to get the job done correctly. So that's going to take board action. That's something that we're trying to put numbers behind right now. And we need to understand what that cost implication is. That's something that we're already evaluating based on the comments that we've heard here, because that could be a way to give relief.
Okay.
But from our perspective, and as it is in the ordinance, which we have in a number of other communities, that's a private service line that only services your property and your house.
Okay, so would that something that you're thinking of, like, say you pay, 30%, the rest of it goes on the homeowner's
I think
tax bill or?
I can't really say how that would be structured, and that's why we need to evaluate, and that's why staff is investigating that for us. But it would likely be something where you would pay your plumber, hypothetically speaking,
Okay.
to do all the work. Once that's done, we get a call, we do the inspection, we would then come in and we do the patch on the street. So
Okay.
that way you're not paying a contractor, that you're not doing it yourself. That'd be something that we take on.
We'd be responsible for taking up the road itself as well.
Yes, because you
Okay.
would need to do that in order to get
Okay.
to the pipes.
Okay,
So
all right. Do you have any idea of like the time frame of when?
I would hope, I honestly, the biggest problem we have right now is, we need to find funding for a lot of these programs. We are having a series of town hall meetings to have the public take action. We're asking voters essentially, potentially, to give us feedback come March. Once we have those ideas of where we're going to be at financially, then that would be something we would be able to tackle hopefully within the next year and a half. A lot of these other projects that have been mentioned earlier, like Pedal Plaza and stuff like that, we're not spending village money on that. We've been able to get federal money. We got awarded a grant for pedestrian bridge. These are projects that meet certain criteria. Quite honestly, a lot of these maintenance type activities, the federal government, the state government, they're not giving us money for it. Roselle, unfortunately, is in your neighborhood is not considered poor enough to receive any grant money from any of those sources. So these other projects that may seem like we're taking money away from infrastructure spending, they're coming from a different pot of money that we're able to obtain. We're trying to be more aggressive about making sure we can find creative ways to find money to keep things moving forward while we solve some of these other problems.
Okay.
So,
Is there any sort of profits that are gonna come from that might necessarily roll?
it definitely helps us if we don't have to spend money on those projects, and that can help us spend money on other areas. But ultimately, like I had mentioned earlier, our current budget only allows us to do about a mile of streets a year. We have 75 miles to maintain. We really need to up our budget to $2.25 to $2.5 million a year to spend on street repairs and whatnot. And if we could do that, then that would substantially increase our ability to continue to keep on top of the stuff.
What are the next streets that are gonna be plowed or that are gonna?
We only, do we have next year's streets identified?
2024?
Correct.
Do not at this time, no.
Do you have 23?
We have 23's already been out to bid.
And it's
So-
available on the
right.
website.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
You know, I would like to just say something, David. The reason David is telling you this is because we have had this brought up. So we are listening, but things don't move immediately. We have to research a lot. And, it just goes to show you that we do listen to what you guys are saying.
And I've only been mayor for 2 years. I've been on the board for 4 years prior. I am very frustrated at times at how slow government can be, and I'm frustrated when the answers aren't quick. I think the problem is we have been very conservative in budgeting. That also means that we have put ourselves into a corner here about dealing with things proactively. And I think what the staff has been doing over the past couple of years, what this board has been trying to do is trying to shift us from being reactive to being proactive. And that is a really difficult, lurching kind of thing to be in. And I really think I'm proud, even if we don't land everything and we have problems in this village, I'm not going to whitewash everything and say everything's perfect in this town. It is not, but we are moving expeditiously ahead. And I think more aggressively than other communities to put ourselves in a better foundation going forward. So this isn't a conversation we have to have. I admire everyone coming out here today. I think this is what democracy is all about. And I encourage you to come here and tell me that I need to fix your street every single meeting if you want, but we're going to work on this and we're going to get this done. Okay. And you can hold me accountable for that. So, I'll get off my soapbox because Wayne, you inspired me. Rubbing off. Is there any other members of the public that wish to address the board at this time? Yeah, if you could just state your name for the record into the microphone.
Sure, Christina Dabrowski, 306 East Ardmore, and this is more not a water or street complaint, it's more construction complaint. So there is a neighbor that backs to me and I have the luxury of looking at mounds of dirt and weeds and an in-ground pool filled with like green water along with our neighbors. So the construction probably started about a year and a half ago. It's 210, I think it's Spring Court. I've called before the village to say, hey, there's like 3 feet piles of dirt around there. There's weeds. No one's doing anything. There's an in-ground pool with green water in there and it's going to be mosquito season. So really just wanting to make sure someone goes out there. I understand construction. You could drive past our house. We did it in 10 months, not saying everyone else is going to do their construction in 10 months, but we did it because we wanted to make sure that our neighbors enjoy their living and enjoy the view and not have to worry about paying True Green ridiculous amounts of money for weeds to be coming over to their lawn. So literally that's my complaint.
Yeah, Brian, can you comment on the code enforcement or any information you have on this case?
Yep, you're accurate about the pool. The permit was pulled last year. They have until June of this year before the permit expires, so you need to come to us to either get an extension for that. They haven't had an inspection completed since July of last year. So our code compliance officer was out there Friday, issued a warning for the standing water. Then we're going to be following up with the resident to see not only just what's going on with the project, but just making sure that the construction is safe and doesn't violate any more codes. So
It was nice because I actually saw them doing something in their backyard, literally their grass. And again, I appreciate June, but if they can put something in there, because I have like a 9-month-old baby and another there's small children in the area, and I don't want them getting bit up by mosquitoes, right? So there's stagnant water. If they could just make sure they do something about it, I think would be great. And then just the dirt. I understand she has a Facebook page and is giving away dirt, but literally we all pay high tax dollars, right? It's like we all do, and we should at least be able to have something nice to look at, not that. Otherwise, it would brought a nice huge poster for folks to see, because this is what I've seen the last year and a half.
yep, the homeowner's been doing the work themselves, so we've been helping them along the way. But at the end of the day,
Or go look at my house, 10 months.
sure. But at the end of the day, they do have a pulled permit. They have until June before that expires. And not only just from a property maintenance standpoint, which will take care of for the standing water, weeds, that sort of thing, construction material left over. The bigger issue is just figuring out where are you with the project? If it doesn't, get completed, then we're gonna have to take other enforcement action. So
What does that happen? Because I know they had to pull a permit back in like December of the year before, right? So I thought permits are a year long. So what happens if June comes in and they're not done? Like, I just want to make sure is there something that happens, fill the hole. I really don't care. I just don't want to have to then pay True Green to come out and do mosquito, right? It's
Yep.
just such a cost to the homeowners in that area.
Yep, and we're gonna figure that out. I mean, we're gonna pull them in to see just where they are with the project in general. And then we're gonna make sure that there's no safety violations. If for whatever reason they say we can't do this anymore or we're in over our heads, then we'll have to get more involved. So
And what about just the fence? They have an in-ground pool. Again, I have a 9-month-old and a 6-year-old, and there's other small children in the area. Like, isn't there some sort of also village ordinance for the height of the pool for in-ground pool? Shouldn't it be more than 3 feet high?
Karen,
So for an in-ground pool, it just either has to have, a fall-proof cover, or there needs to be a fence either around the pool or around the yard. So as we communicate with the homeowner, this is something that we'll bring up as well. Yeah, I understand. There's only so much we can do. We're actively trying to reach the homeowner, and the code enforcement officer spoke with them on Friday, and they seem to understand the concerns. So we just have to take what we can from the property owner as we try to move forward and mitigate
And I so
this.
appreciate that, but it's like, again, we have the luxury. There's 2 other folks, one's in Michigan, the other one's out of state also that lives next door to me on both sides of the property, or that we're all we just ask is just some improvement, because literally it's just, you would not want to look at that. And they're home because their dog always barks, right? I gave up on calling, their dog just always barks. So you'll know they're home. So all I'm just saying is please provide an update, because as you mentioned about the streets, I will be here all the
Yeah.
time. If my child gets bit up by mosquitoes, I will be here all the time.
If you don't mind, could you give Brian your contact information? So as we progress through the code enforcement process, we can keep you updated on things, and code enforcement's a tricky area, but we do our best to try to ensure that some of these more persistent or sticky cases can be resolved.
Thank you
So-
very much. I appreciate it.
Any other members of the public that wish to address the board at this time? Seeing none, we'll move on to officials and staff reports. Under mayor, I have a couple of items. One is it's Public Service Recognition Week. So I wanted to issue a proclamation to honor our public employees at the federal, state, county, and of course, the closest to our hearts, the municipal level. So it reads, whereas Americans are served every day by public servants at the federal, state, county, and municipal levels, these unsung heroes do the work that keep our nation working. And whereas public servants included elected officials, but I'm going to just skip over that because we don't do any of the hard work. It's really the administrative staff, police, fire, public works, finance, community development, personnel, among countless other occupations, day in and day out, providing the diverse services demanded by the American people of their government with efficiency and integrity. And whereas without these public servants at every level, continuity would be impossible in a democracy that regularly changes its leaders and its elected officials. Now, therefore, I, Mayor of the Village of Roselle, do hereby proclaim May 7th through 13th, 2023 as Public Service Recognition Week. All citizens are encouraged to recognize the accomplishments and contributions of government employees at all levels. So can I have a motion to approve?
Moved.
Second.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Any abstentions? Seeing none, that motion passes. The other thing that I wanted to bring forward to the board, and I don't think this is a comment towards our operating procedure and whatnot, but we're seeing through the Illinois Municipal League, a new civility pledge is being adopted. And I think this is a good thing to remind ourselves and also to kind of hold each other as we have public discourse like we just had tonight, very respectful. But at the end of the day, I think there's a need for us in this day and age as things get more heated to kind of just reaffirm that we believe in kind of engaging in an appropriate way with each other. And so if we were to adopt this resolution, we would incorporate the civility pledge into our kind of oath of office. We'd have every person sign it. We'd also have a plaque made at the public comment podium. So that way it would read kind of the text to remind everyone of our kind of our mission here and objective. And I'll just read it before I open it up. So the civility pledge states, in the interest of civility, I pledge to promote civility by listening, being respectful of others, acknowledging that we are striving to support and improve our community, and understanding that we each may have different ideas for achieving that objective. So I think that's a good mantra to help us just continue to be grounded as we deal with difficult topics in the future. So is there a motion to approve?
Moved.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion? Wayne?
I gotta highlight what you just said, because I've been on the board a long time and the board has been very civil to each other. We've argued and disagreed and we didn't go for character assassination. And with the residents of Roselle, when you guys come out here too, guys got really viable reasons to be here and some of them are really aggravating, but the way you presented it, even tonight, was a classic example, David, of the civility you're talking about. And that's what we have in Roselle. We're signing this pledge, not because we're gonna claim to do it, but we're already doing it. So I have no problem signing it. And thank you for the way you guys presented yourselves tonight too.
Any other comments from the board? Seeing none, can we have a roll call, please?
Trustee Delapenna.
Aye.
Trustee Trejo.
Aye.
Trustee Domke.
Aye.
Trustee Forsythe. Aye. Trustee Lanisa. Aye. Trustee Prokowski.
Aye.
All right, and then also before the board for consideration is a amendment to the liquor ordinance Class U license. Is there a motion to approve? And I can explain more.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, I'll second.
So we had a request from a business operator, and so they are looking to operate a karaoke bar on Irving Park. When we were going through the liquor code, it didn't really fit well in any of our current classifications. We currently have an ongoing study with our law firm to kind of help us revamp our liquor ordinance, since we're running out of letters of the alphabet and I didn't really want to go Greek. So in the meantime, while we're waiting for that review to be completed, we wanted to make some amendments just to make this fit better. I feel better as a liquor commissioner issuing a license to them if we make this amendment. But it's just something that I think is necessary given the nature of their business. Are there any questions from the board on that change? No. All right, can we have a roll call then?
Trustee Trejo.
Aye.
Trustee Lanisa. Aye. Trustee Delapenna.
Aye.
Trustee Domke.
Aye.
Trustee Forsythe. Aye. Trustee Prokowski.
Aye. And then I'd like to entertain a motion to pass an ordinance amending the liquor code, increasing the number of Class U licenses from 1 to 2.
Moved.
Second.
Any discussion? And so this is that use case that we just discussed about that will be operating the karaoke bar on Irving Park. So. All right, there's no questions. Can we have a roll call, please?
Trustee Domke?
Aye.
Trustee Trejo?
Aye.
Trustee Della Penna?
Aye.
Trustee Forsythe?
Aye.
Trustee Lanisa?
Aye.
Trustee Prokowski?
Aye. All right, thank you so much. Other than that, I know we'll be sending out an email. There will be the annual DMMC kind of year-end celebration, I guess, dinner coming up here in May. I'm also happy to share I will be serving as the Deputy Legislative Director for DuPage County Managers and Mayors and serving on the executive board for that organization as we continue to represent Roselle well, as well as advocate on bigger issues that impact our community. So with that being the case, that's all I have under my report. Is there any village trustees that have a report? All right, village clerk.
Number one, Green Roselle is hosting their Composting 101 event with Scarce's K. McKean tomorrow at 7 p.m. at 10 North. They are encouraging all residents interested in protecting our land, air, and water to learn how to recycle their food scraps and create nutrients instead of harmful chemicals like leachate and methane. Two, another way to care for our planet is to shop secondhand. The Roselle Garden Club is hosting their annual garden and home boutique sale this Saturday, May 13th at 9 a.m., also at 10 North. They will have new and gently used indoor and outdoor flower containers, garden tools, yard art, baskets, lamps, framed art, and will feature Dave's knife and tool sharpening, which is a great way to care for your existing items and keep them out of landfills.
Great, thank you so much. Village attorney,
Report, Mayor.
village administrator. All right, we'll move on to unfinished business. First, we have the consent agenda. All items listed on the consent agenda are considered to be routine, procedural, informational, self-explanatory, or non-controversial in nature and be enacted in one motion. There'll be no discussion of these items. Tonight, we have presentation approval of the village board minutes of March 27th, 2023, minutes of April 10th, 2023, and minutes of April 24th, 2023. Adopt a resolution approving and authorizing the execution of agreement by and between the Village of Roselle and Ampion PBC. Pass an ordinance amending ordinance number 20-949, establishing a pay plan for village officers and employees. Pass an ordinance authorizing the disposition of personal property of the Village of Roselle, Illinois fire engine. Adopt a resolution authorizing the execution of a contract with Bellner Incorporated for the 2023 pavement crack filling program and seal coating in the amount not to exceed $60,000.
Motion to approve.
Roll call, please.
Trustee Trejo.
Aye.
Trustee Lanisa.
Aye.
Trustee Della Penna.
Aye.
Trustee Domke.
Aye.
Trustee Forsythe.
Aye.
Trustee Prokowski.
Aye. That motion carries. We'll move on to community development. Trustee Lanisa, we're welcoming you well to this committee tonight.
I think so. Yes, I'd like to have a motion to pass an ordinance granting the approval of a special use permit, the property commonly known as 880 West Lake Street, Unit 810 in Roselle, Illinois.
Second.
Is there any discussion from the board? Karen, can you provide a brief summary of the special use permit?
Yeah, so the special use is for limited manufacturing, which in the B5 zoning district requires a special use. This is just one aspect of the petitioner's total business. It includes sales, design, and then storage of the parts that he would be milling. The next door neighbor unit to the petitioner came to the public hearing and initially had some concerns about the noise from the machine. And upon explanation from the petitioner, was not concerned about any impacts to her business. So.
Thank you so much. Any discussion from the board? If not, can we have a roll call, please?
Trustee Lanisa. Trustee Trejo.
Aye.
Trustee Della Penna.
Aye.
Trustee Domke. Trustee Forsythe.
Aye.
Trustee Prokowski.
Aye. That motion carries.
I'd also like to make a motion to open the public hearing for the annexation of 132 and 136 Picton Road.
Second.
Can we have a roll call, please?
Trustee Lanisa.
Aye.
Trustee Trejo.
Aye.
Trustee Della Penna.
Aye.
Trustee Domke.
Aye.
Trustee Forsythe.
Aye.
Trustee Prokowski.
Aye.
So, as for the hearing, we would like to, we're talking about the annexation of the 132 and 136 Picton Road. that was publicized in the Daily Herald on April 21st, 2023. The property is owned by Anna, I'm sorry, I'm gonna let Laziak. The property was formerly incorporated in the village of Bloomingdale. However, Bloomingdale cannot service these lots with utilities. Therefore, in the boundary agreement between Bloomingdale and Roselle, the owners of these properties can request an annexation to Roselle in order to connect to the utilities, and Bloomingdale will willingly disconnect the properties. The village of Bloomingdale has completed the required disconnection actions, and the village of Roselle can now formally annex the subject properties. There are currently two lots involved. One is developed with a single-family residence. The other is undeveloped. The owner has requested to re-subdivide the property to create 3 lots out of the existing 2. Each of the 3 lots meets the requirements for the R1 single residence zoning district. The existing house will remain, and it too will meet all setbacks required of the R1 district with the new configuration. The Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval of the Blasiak plat of the subdivision as of April 4th, 2023, meeting unanimously 7-0. The new address will be as follows. Lot 3 will be 101 Picton. Lot 2 will be 105 Picton. Lot 1 will be 109 Picton. Okay. I'm asking for okay, we're asking if any member of the public wishes to ask a question of the petitioner or the village staff.
Seeing none.
Chair, also asks if the public or the petitioner wishes to speak in favor of the petition.
Seeing none.
I'm also asking if any member of the public wishes to speak against the petition.
Seeing none.
Are there any questions or comments from the board?
Wayne.
So these are the south side of Picton, these properties?
Correct.
And am I to believe then that other properties on the south side of Picton can also come into the village from Bloomingdale? Is this going to be a continuation down the road?
I believe the rest of Picton, except for the southwest corner of Picton and Roselle is already in the village.
Okay, thank you.
All right, any other questions? Wayne or Lee, sorry.
No, no question. I just want to make a recommendation to accept this petition.
Great.
Okay, then we can take a vote for that.
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
Yep. Second, can we have a roll call, please? Tom Del Pena.
Trustee Lanisa.
Aye.
Trustee Della Pena.
Aye.
Trustee Domke.
Aye.
Trustee Forsythe. Aye. Trustee Perkowski.
Aye.
Trustee Trejo.
Aye.
And that motion carries. We'll now move on to item 9D.
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to pass an ordinance approving and authorizing the execution of an annexation agreement for the property commonly referred to as 132 and 136 Picton Road.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, can we have a roll call, please?
Trustee Lanisa.
Aye.
Trustee Trejo.
Aye.
Trustee Della Pena.
Aye.
Trustee Domke.
Aye.
Trustee Forsythe. Aye. Trustee Perkowski.
Aye. That motion carries.
I'd also like to make a motion to pass an ordinance approving the annexation of certain territory commonly referred to as 132 and 136 Picton Road.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, can we have a roll call, please?
Trustee Lanisa.
Aye.
Trustee Trejo.
Aye.
Trustee Della Pena.
Aye.
Trustee Domke.
Aye.
Trustee Forsythe. Aye. And Trustee Perkowski.
Aye. That motion carries.
And I'd also like to make a resolution to make a motion to adopt a resolution approving a final plat of subdivision for the Blasiak subdivision.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, can we have a roll call?
Trustee Lanisa.
Aye.
Trustee Trejo.
Aye.
Trustee Della Pena.
Aye.
Trustee Domke.
Aye.
Trustee Forsythe. Aye. Trustee Perkowski.
Aye. That motion carries.
That is all I have.
Thank you so much. We have nothing under administration or fire, but please, Trustee Domke.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to make a motion to pass an ordinance amending Chapter 10, Appendix 5 of the Traffic Code of the Village of Roselle.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, can we have a roll call, please?
Trustee Domke.
Aye.
Trustee Trejo.
Aye.
Trustee Della Penna.
Aye.
Trustee Forsythe.
Aye.
Trustee Lanisa.
Aye.
Trustee Prokowski.
Aye.
That motion carries. Sit under police tonight, trustee Prokowski, Public Works.
Thank you, Mayor Plesky. I'd like to move adoption of a resolution authorizing the execution of a contract for the 2023 water main replacement project between the Village of Roselle and Holiday Sewer and Water in the amount of $1,900,000.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, can we have a roll call, please?
Trustee Prokowski.
Aye.
Trustee Trejo.
Aye.
Trustee Della Penna.
Aye.
Trustee Domke.
Aye.
Trustee Forsythe.
Aye.
Trustee Lanisa.
Aye.
That motion carries.
Okay, moving on to 13B, I'd like to move adoption of a resolution authorizing the execution of a professional engineering services contract for the 2023 water main replacement project construction engineering with Engineering Enterprises Incorporated in the amount of $166,074.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Trustee Prokowski.
Aye.
Trustee Trejo.
Aye.
Trustee Della Penna.
Aye.
Trustee Domke.
Aye.
Trustee Forsythe.
Aye.
Trustee Lanisa.
Aye.
That motion carries.
Moving on to 13C, I'd like to move adoption of a resolution authorizing and approving payment for the purchase of Parkway Trees Joint Purchasing Cooperative Suburban Tree Consortium.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, can we have a roll call, please?
Trustee Prokowski.
Aye.
Trustee Trejo.
Aye.
Trustee Della Penna.
Aye.
Trustee Domke.
Aye.
Trustee Forsythe.
Aye.
Trustee Lanisa.
Aye.
And that is all. That is all I have, Mayor Plesky.
Thank you. We'll move to finance, trustee Della Penna.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to make a motion to approve the accounts payable list for May 8th, 2023 in the amount of $1,212,642.74.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, can we have a roll call, please?
Trustee Della Penna.
Aye.
Trustee Trejo.
Aye.
Trustee Domke.
Aye.
Trustee Forsythe.
Aye.
Trustee Lanisa.
Aye.
Trustee Prokowski.
Aye.
That motion carries.
I'd also like to make a motion to pass an ordinance amending Chapter 22, Article 1, Section 22-22 of the Code of Ordinances of the Village of Roselle, Illinois.
Second.
Tom, could you just provide a brief summary regarding the rate increases and why that's going into effect?
No problem. Good evening. When we prepared the budget for 2023, I estimate the number of gallons we're going to purchase from the DuPage Water Commission, along with the rate that they're going to charge. During the pandemic, they did not raise their rates. They kept them flat. Last year, we estimated a small increase, I think 3 cents per thousand. And it was a 21 cent per thousand increase, and the village decided to eat that and not pass that on to residents. This year, I was a little bit closer. I figured it would go up to $5.30, and they raised their rate to $5.39 per thousand gallons. So a 9 cent difference, and we can no longer absorb that cost. We needed to pass that on to the residents when the DuPage Water Commission passes their budget.
Thank you so much. Any questions from the board? Wayne?
So to clarify this, we're just raising it what we're being charged for the water, and we're not raising the sewer rate.
No,
It's the
no,
water.
just the water. So what we purchased, we're just passing along that cost. So we estimated one, and it came back a different price.
Any other questions or comments from the board? Seeing none, can we have a roll call, please?
Trustee Della Penna.
Aye.
Trustee Trejo.
Aye.
Trustee Domke.
Aye.
Trustee Forsythe.
Aye.
Trustee Lanisa.
Aye.
Trustee Prokowski.
Aye.
That motion carries. And Tom, you could have just stayed right up there because we're going to move on to new business. And our first item under new business is provide direction to staff regarding the implementation of a grant policy. So Finance Director Tom Dahl.
I still have to grab my notes. So before you tonight is a grant policy. I just want to say we have been following the basic tenets of this policy. It was just we wanted to get this formally adopted and put on paper. Some of this is just outlining the responsibilities, the roles and responsibilities of administration, finance, and the department requesting the grant. And then also it incorporates items that the state and federal government likes to see in writing to make sure that everybody is aware of the roles and responsibilities. So this grant policy includes responsibilities, as I said, for administration, finance, and the requesting department. Their application procedures, acceptance of the grant, so the board could reject a grant if it does not meet our strategic goals, or it's just something that, you know, the cost is just too prohibitive in order to accept this money. How we monitor the grant and report to the agency that we're receiving the grant from. Purchasing procedures and making sure that a vendor is certified and not disbarred from or banned by the federal government. So there are procedures that we do to search vendors. Risk monitoring, performance measurement of the grant, and then a grant closeout. And so the main responsibilities, of course, are on administration and finance, but also there are reporting requirements for the department that receives a grant.
Any questions or comments from the board? Lee?
No, I just think it's a good idea to have this in writing. Like you said, we're following it already, so definitely supportive.
Great. Wayne?
Just two questions. I fully understand why we're doing this. It's a great idea. Are there any pending or received grants that we've got now that are going to be impacted by this new policy?
Impacted, no, because like I said, we've already been following this. This is just formalizing it. So, you know, one of the things is, you know, making sure that the board is aware of any grants that we receive, but also that Jason, the administrator, signs off on any application that we receive, that we send out to make sure it meets the strategic goals. It you know, describes Roselle properly, you know, all those items. So we've been doing that. So no, but we have received a couple. So we, you know, 750,000 from Representative Krishnamurthy's office, and then also the state of Illinois for the pedestrian bridge as well.
Second thing, Tom, would be, are you going to report to the board the tracking that you'll be doing now of these grants?
Sure. Yeah.
Part of your report?
Yeah.
Probably, right?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Is the consensus of the board to move forward as staff has proposed?
Absolutely.
Thank you, Tom, so much. I think this is great timing. I think we've been awarded more grants in the last 12 months than I think we have in some decades during the village. So I think this is hopefully a good sign of what's to come, and appreciate all the extra effort that's gone into that. So the community will definitely benefit. We'll move on to provide direction regarding a new agreement for plan reviews and the Chief Building Inspector Services. So Community Development Manager Karen Briggs.
All right. So since 2019, we've contracted with HR Green to provide chief building official services. So you got, some of you may know Doug Jones, who we had for a couple of years, and he retired. And we currently have Rick Molina, who is a master code professional, and I believe there's only a couple hundred of them in the world. Means he's like passed basically every exam you could take for the International Code Council. So he has started his own company and has requested the ability to contract with us directly to provide the same services that he has been providing us through HR Green. And at the same time, HR Green came to the village to renew our contract and then include a rate increase. As we've discussed with the board over the past couple of years, they too have been seeing a difficulty in hiring staff. So they've needed to increase their prices, their bill rates, along with all the other basically services the village uses. So they've proposed a 17% increase from 2022 to 2023. And the CBO's company, RPM Building and Code, is providing a lower bill rate per hour. And he has agreed to work at least 28 hours a week for the village. He has really fit in well with staff, particularly with the fire department. He now provides all fire alarm and sprinkler plan reviews and inspections, and he's really worked well with Scott and Mark and everyone over at Fire. So he's an excellent resource. And we will, if the direction is provided tonight, We'll bring back a contract at the May 22nd meeting for him, but also an update to the HR Green contract, because we'll still need plumbing inspections. We do not have a Illinois certified plumber on staff, so we would still need HR Green to provide that service. And then HR Green will continue to provide inspectional services for Metro 19. I really don't want to switch that inspection service, especially as they're going vertical. So want to keep it seamless and keep those inspections with HR Green. And then we will be using the budget process to explore other plumbing inspection options to make sure that we're spending the village's money wisely on this kind of stuff.
Any questions for the board? Wayne?
HR Green's okay with this? I mean, they were losing an employee and they're having trouble with employees leaving.
So there's nothing in our contract with them or the building official's contract with them that prohibits this from occurring.
And Wayne, in the spirit of taking care of our village, I have no problem poaching talent from a corporate.
No, but will they still do the plumbing then, or will they be like, well, let's leave now. We don't want to do anything with you guys.
No, they've indicated that they'll enter into a contract for plumbing.
I'm just suspicious all the time. Like, I'm sorry.
Any other comments from the board?
Seems like a win-win.
Consensus to move forward as staff is proposed?
Yeah.
All right, staff has their direction then.
Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any other business for discussion only here tonight?
Real quick.
Yeah, absolutely.
If we get entertained just because we have the people from Rosemont here, is there a way that we could pull up the 2023 street improvement map real quick on the TVs? Just to kind of, because I'm just looking at on our site and, just to kind of give you guys to understand like the gravity of like, how much streets we take care of in Roselle and the money that we have budgeted, how much we could actually do every year. I just thought it'd be good for you guys to see it.
Yeah, give us a moment to get that up. While we're pulling that up, does any other trustee have any other business to discuss? Tom?
I'll fill time. I just wanted to say this earlier, but so I'm a historian by trade. And I wanted to thank the village clerk for letting me go and look in the village archives. I was kind of excited about this. I just wanted to point out, Dina is actually the 110th individual to serve on the village board. So I was excited to find that, and I found a bunch of cool stuff in there. So figure that'd be a good way to use the time to like got that pulled up. But.
And that was just enough time, so thank you. So what is on the screen right now is the street locations that we are paying this year to resurface or, all to resurface. So in two different phases, the green marks phase 1, the blue marks phase 2. Typically the blue in phase 2 is after we do water main replacement work, in that case. So you can see those are those streets that are being targeted for this year. That's what, $1 million gets you.
So there are some in that northwest quadrant there too, right? Where Rosemont is.
That's really more, I would say probably more like northeast from that side. I can't really read the street.
It's off of Nerky, like.
Yeah, it's
To the left there. Where Rosemont is, right? That's Devon.
Right. There's nothing in their quadrant, Wayne.
No?
Yeah, it's be green.
No,
Green.
it has to be green or blue.
Aqua, whatever.
Okay. Oh, that's the boundary. Okay.
Yeah.
We put this out every year. This is
Yeah.
be another one for 2024.
Yeah, right.
And obviously we're still evaluating 2024, so. Is there any other public comment at this time? Yes, sir. If you don't mind stating your name and coming to the podium, please.
Who are you? Sorry.
I said earlier that we were scheduled to be.
Sir, could you say in the microphone? Sorry.
Sure. Dave Christopher, 48 Rosemont.
Thank you.
We were scheduled to be done when Granville was done. And then it was passed over. So how do we get, you to fall to the back of the list? I mean, how does that get determined? Because, so you said earlier, there's 60 to 70 of the sewer mains or whatever, the personal ones that collapse. How many streets are there? So.
Oh, so that's private service line. So that's lines from every house to the street.
Correct.
So
60 to 70 us a year, pay 10 or 12 or 15 or $18,000 to have that repaired, right?
it depends on the,
You had 7 of them on Rosemont. So what percentage, based on the number of streets,
So the interesting thing, if I look at the permit information, there were only 6 permits pulled since 2007 on Rosemont for sewer repair.
Well, then there's been a lot in the last couple of years because 4 of them in front of my house.
So I mean, that,
Okay, so the question is, they were out and they said the water main, the main sewer pipe's too small to accommodate. The rest of the people are talking about all this water washing it away. The main pipe, if I showed you the picture of the separation, was about 1/4 of an inch. Right?
are you talking about the stormwater or the sewer?
Sewer pipe.
Okay.
Right? But my pipe, there was a separation you could barely see. Supposedly caused that to fail. Correct?
I would have to leverage our village engineers.
Are you talking about the storm sewer or the sanitary sewer?
What's the sewer that runs under the street that our sewer connects to?
That would be the sanitary sewer.
Okay. So when that pipe separates by 1/4 of an inch, we're responsible to dig up the street, fix the pipe. You guys ran a plastic pipe down the middle of it, right? Which only made it smaller. Correct? Reduces the circumference. Capacity of the
Microscopically
pipe.
smaller. I think it's 1/8 of an inch.
Okay, well, mine was 1/8 of an inch, and I'm responsible for it. That's all. I mean, that's interesting. I'm just wondering what happened 2 or 3 years ago when it was scheduled to be done. You know, my neighbor's been there 62 years. I've been there 36. And the road has been scraped and redone once in the time I've been there. So I want to know what happened 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah.
What happens to, we just fall to the back of the list and wait another 100 years?
So Kristen,
Yeah, I'm not sure where the information that the street was supposed to be done at the same time Granville was coming from. It's nowhere in our records that was ever the
Where do
intention,
we find that?
whether it was slated to be done.
Has it ever been slated to be done?
It was done in 2013. So, right, which is what we do.
Also supposed to get curbs at some point.
I don't believe the intent was ever to put curbs in on Rosemont. The open ditch drainage system is what is intended for that area and what is needed. If we were to put in curbs and get rid of the ditches, the drainage would actually be worse in the area. I cannot speak to what was
Okay,
done.
well, I mean, my question would be, where do we find that information? Because, you know, we push, you push back, you don't have the money, we don't have the money, but we're responsible either way. I mean, the hole in the street showed up a year ago, August, called the police or the village, they were done. Called the police, put horses out so the bus didn't run over the hole. You know, and I was told at 9 o'clock that night, either get someone out here or we're coming out here weekend time, right? To me, that's strong arm, but call it what you want. So I just want to know, if I spend the rest of my life there, is the road ever going to be done? How do we find that out?
we'll be able to find that out once we have the new street study conducted, and we'll be able to have a rank and file of every street in the village, because we want to do this as equitably and responsibly as possible.
When was the last one done?
Last one was done in
2019.
2019.
And this is the result of that.
That's how we've prioritized the streets that we do each year. So
And
we'll have better information next year, which I know feels like I'm passing you off, but we want to make sure we have the right information, right? And the street could have changed dramatically since 2019.
Well, if we showed you pictures of the street that you just came and patched,
I've driven over it a couple times since the comments have been coming in and whatnot, and I keep an eye on it. So, but no, I hear what you're saying. So
thank you.
thank you. Is there any other public comment tonight? Seeing none, I'd like to entertain a motion to enter executive session.
Moved. Second.
For the purpose of discussing collective bargaining with the Service Employees International Union and real property purchase of real estate. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Do I have a second? Thank you. Could we have a roll call, please? Cheryl made the motion and Lee seconded.
Trust.
Yeah, I do need a roll call.
Trustee Laniso. Trustee Trejo.
Aye.
Trustee Delapenna.
Aye.
Trustee Domke.
Aye.
Trustee Forsythe. Aye. Trustee Prokowski.
Aye. No action, no final action is intended to be, or no final action will be made in the executive session. We will be adjourning from this meeting out of the executive session there. Thank you.